for so much of my life, I found I would fill this like empty well within myself with validation from men. So I was like, well, if I sleep with them, like I get this validation and then I'm okay, and then I feel worthy for a week, and then I need to do it again, and I don't know. It was just a habit I picked up very, very early on of like, if I got the attention from men, I was okay to show up in the world.
Yep. Even I think something that's really relatable, and I bet a lot of people are going to connect with also, is like, you talked about how when you would drink, you would have this, you would become the person you thought you wanted to be. You're outgoing, you're loud, I can be sassy, I can fuck, like I can be hot, like you can do all these things. And I know people in my life that are like, I'm introverted and I'm a little anxious or I'm shy, and having a couple drinks, like I think brings me out of my shell and I'm able, but it's like, then there's that line where it's like, you shouldn't need anything to like that is a substance like that to make you feel like you can be yourself, because we're not ourselves when we're drinking.
Right.
But then sexually also, all of us are going to feel way more free having sex if we're fucked up on something.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't actually know, and you don't feel in tune with your fucking body.
I'm even willing to say that sex drunk is not enjoyable.
At all.
Sex with strangers is not enjoyable. Point blank.
Yeah.
It's just the truth.
Yeah.
Maybe, and that's just my experience, but, and that's why like the last 2 years of, I mean, I was like celibate for a lot of it, but, but I think like feeling so comfortable in my skin and like learning to love my body in new ways, like being sexual, like it's still a little uncomfortable for me. I'm learning how to be really present and you know, and choosing the people I want to be intimate with, and not everyone deserves to touch your body, you know.
Facts. And like, you can't make that decision as easily when you are fucked up.
No, I'm like, everyone can touch your
Right.
body.
You're like, let's go,
Girl, guy, all, let's
go.
Yeah.
I just appreciate you going there with me and us unpacking the themes of not just being like, oh, that's interesting, next. Like,
well, I mean, that's a testament to you. You're
we're
so
getting
good
there.
at what you do, and you really create with all of your guests.
Thank
like
you.
You know the right questions to ask, but you do it all with like a very
because it's like, it's your
very
life. Like when people
warm.
are like, so talk to me about your fucking drinking problem. You're like, okay.
So here you're a
Like
slut.
people, right, literally. Like, who'd you fuck, whore? You're like, oh my God. People have said shit to me about like the craziest shit. I'm like, that's rude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is great. Okay, relationships.
Your relationships. Yeah.
I had many relationships. I don't think I've had not had a relationship really since I've been sober. I've dated, but throughout all of the, you know, teenager to now, like my last long-term committed relationship was like 6 years ago.
Okay.
And it ended, I mean, we were not compatible with each other at all, but it ended because of my behavior and like a lack of him not really understanding and not knowing how to be there for me. Him and I are now friends, and it's nice to, God, it's the best feeling to like reconnect with people in a different place in your life. And I'm finding that's happening a lot to me lately. Like people I've had embarrassing or shameful experiences with, like I've run into them on the street. There was someone I ran into in Vancouver on the street, and it was something happened, and I didn't really remember what had happened. It was a night. And I had always wanted to apologize. And I randomly ran into him in Vancouver. And not only did I get to apologize, he was like, Lucy, nothing happened. So I had like so in my life, I've like built these things up in my head. I say all of that because it's just interesting. The universe is like, we're going to give you an opportunity to hold yourself accountable and apologize. And it's like the best thing to be clear-eyed and feeling good and to get to reconnect with people.
When you were in these type of relationships, did a lot of your partners also drink heavily, or were you hiding it?
So my very first boyfriend ever that I had for 3.5 years when I was a teenager, I remember him telling me I had a drinking problem.
Okay.
My boyfriend after that, and he wasn't really a drinker. My next boyfriend after that, he also was like, this is worrisome. I'm like, I'm breaking up with you. Bye. Me problems. You're the problem.
You're the problem.
Bye, babe.
So
Cut to, you were right.
Right.
You were right.
Fuck.
My boyfriend after that, God, it was the most passionate relationship of my life and the most toxic. He was a drug addict. He was an alcoholic. I learned habits from him. We were a perfect storm. But there was also a lot of love there. That was also a deeply scary time in my life. I was like, oh.
Can you share some of those habits?
Day drinking a bottle of wine before bed every night. He, at that point, I had never done a drug. And that was like when I was like, oh, I kind of like how that feels. Yeah, it was a lot of just self-neglect. And it was like the day drinking thing. That was when I was like, oh, you can drink the day after? Huh, I never really thought about that. But also, you know, those types of relationships are the most exciting, like the most passionate, like, whoa. Like this person, I think I'm like, if I were ever to be in a room with him now, it's still one of those people where I would be so, I'm equal parts terrified of him and deeply attracted to him.
So crazy. I had one of those where it was like, he was definitely into drugs. And there's like a thrill element of like the instability. Like this person does not have their shit together. And it's like every day is fucking different. And it's this like exciting rush. And it's also what you don't realize is it's like uncomfortable fear that like you are thinking is like attraction. But you're also like, you're my body telling me like I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And
it's exactly
crazy.
that. Like my nervous system the whole time I was with him was like, I did not regulate my nervous system for a full year, but I also loved that because I told you I loved chaos.
You don't have to answer this, but I'm just thinking again because we're kind of tying things. Like when you look at your life, I think sometimes in a positive way you can be like, oh, that helps it make more sense. But like a lot of how we are is because of our family. Like, does anyone in your family struggle with alcohol also? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just helpful to say because sometimes people feel really fucking alone and it's like, girl, you're not alone. This isn't, also, I don't know if it helps to be like, it's not your fault. This is like a genetic thing that like,
yeah,
that's life.
But it's also interesting to me that, you know, my sister doesn't struggle with alcohol, but we grew up in the same home. Obviously, our lives are very different, but it's just interesting how people latch on to something. And I think if I would have found cocaine at 16, that would have been my thing. But alcohol
was your thing.
That was my bestie for a long time.
Hi Daddy Gang, thank you so much for watching this video. Keep in mind that was just a little clip from the episode. If you want to watch the entire full video episode, it is linked below. It's the first thing in the description. Go watch it. It's a great episode. Love you all. I will see you next Wednesday.